dear students. Today I am going to continue the class 9th chapter. Is matter around us is pure? Is matter around us is pure? Okay. So we have started this chapter and we have conducted one activity in order to classify the mixtures into three groups. So mixtures can be classified into three groups. They are, one is solution, another one is suspension, the last one is colloids. First thing, solution. So what is solution? Solution is nothing but it is a homogeneous mixture. If you take the example of sugar solution or the salt solution, what happens in that? The particles are uniformly distributed throughout the solution. You can't separate the particles, and size of the particles in solution is very small. You can't imagine. The size of the solution is less than 1 nanometer, and you can't separate the particles by filtration. So they are solution. We have discussed about solution in the last class. One more in the activity we took one more solution. Okay, in one beaker we took the chalk powder. For that we added the water. So if you add chalk powder or the wheat flour in the glass, what happens? The particles will not mix properly in the solution. It will remain. You can see the particles in the mixtures. So they are nothing but they are suspension. The group which we got in the group C, the beaker containing wheat flour solution or the chalk powder. If you add chalk powder or wheat flour to the beaker containing water, you will get the suspension. In today's class, now let us discuss about suspension. What is suspension? What are the properties of suspension, and how does it looks? And we will understand it through the activity. Then let us move on to the colloids. What is colloids and what are the properties and how it is different from these two? In the activity, the group C, the beaker containing chalk powder or the beaker containing a wheat flour solution is nothing but is an example for the suspension. So what is this suspension? Suspension is the heterogeneous mixture. What does it mean? Heterogeneous mixture means particles are not mixed. They are not uniformly distributed throughout the solution. Suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which the particles are suspended in the solution. The particles are suspended in the liquid. The particles are so this suspension is the heterogeneous mixture in which the particles are not dissolved but they remain suspended throughout the medium. It could be the medium, could be the air, water, or it could be the liquid medium or the solid medium or gaseous medium. So what is suspension? Suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which particles are do not dissolve in the solution. They remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium. Means it remains as it is. You can see the particles in the solution through the naked eye. You can see the particles in the solution. They remain as it is. Now let us discuss about the properties of suspension. Okay, the first property of suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. So what is heterogeneous mixture? Heterogeneous mixture means if you mix oil and water, they will not the particles will not uniformly distribute throughout the solution. They may remain as two layers, like that. This heterogeneous mixture also, they will remain as it is. They will form two layers. Okay, the particles will not uniformly distribute throughout the solution, and then it can be seen, the particles can be seen in the mixture by the naked eye. Okay, by the naked eye you can see the particles in the mixture. Then the third property of suspension is particle scatter beam of light. Okay, the particle scatter beam of light, when the mixture is unstable, you can the particles can scatter the beam of light, because the size of the particles is bigger enough to see. So they scatter the beam of light when the solution is unstable. When the solution is not stable, you can see the beam, they will scatter the beam of light. The next property is the particles settle down when undisturbed. Okay, means the particles will be settled down in the bottom of the solution. So they will form two layers when it is undisturbed or unstable. Okay, when the particle is unstable, they will settle down and form two layers. Then you can separate the particles by filtration. You can use the filtration method to separate the particles in the solution. You can separate the solute and the solvent in this case of suspensions by the process of filtration. And when you did the filtration, when the solution is settled down, at that time they does not scatter the beam of light. So when the solution is settled down, when the particle is undisturbed, when it is stable, they does not scatter the beam of light, because the particles will not be there in the solution. There is no, they will form two layers. So the particles are not there in the solution. That is why they will not scatter the beam of light when it is settled down, when you filter the solution. Got it? Okay, till now we have discussed about the suspension and its properties. Next our topic is colloids. Okay, last week I showed the video which explains you about the suspension, solution and colloid. Again I will show you the video to understand it better. In the activity, the group D, okay, the when you add milk to the water, you will get the mixture. Okay, milk is the mixture. It include all the fat, protein, water, and all this. So milk is a mixture. Now let us discuss about the mixture, which is a colloid. What is this colloidal solution? In the activity, the group D, okay, the solution of the milk or the mixture of milk, okay, milk is the example for colloidal solution. Colloidal solution or the colloids we say. So that colloidal solution or the colloids, they uniformly, the particles are uniformly distributed. The particles are uniformly distributed in the solution, and the size of the particles is very small. Here the size of the particles is very small compared to the suspension, and you think that when you see the colloidal solution, you think that it is a homogeneous solution because the size of the particles is very small, but actually the colloids are the heterogeneous mixture. Colloids are the heterogeneous mixture, and particles are uniformly, you think that the particles are uniformly distributed, so you think that it is a homogeneous mixture, but actually colloids are the heterogeneous mixture. Example is milk, and they scatter the beam of light. When you pass the beam of light through the colloidal solution, what happens? They will scatter the beam of light through them. The reason is the size of the particles is enough to scatter the beam of light. It is not so much small, but it is not too much big also. The size of the particles lies in between the suspension and the solution. The size of the particles lies between 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. Okay, this is the size of the particle. 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. The size of the particles remain 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. So they will scatter the beam of light. In your daily life also, you can see the scattering of beam of light by the colloidal particles. So if you have the rooftop in your home, whenever the sunlight passes through the glass, they will penetrate and they will scatter the beam, they will scatter the particles. The particles will be scattered by the light. So you can see the shiny particles. In your home, if there is a rooftop, okay, if the sunlight enters through the hole, you can see the particles are moving. That is nothing but these dust particles and the smoke are the example for the colloids. So that is the reason why we can see in the beam, when the beam of light passes through the glass hole, we can see the particles. They are nothing but colloidal particles. So we can see the scattering of light by the particles. Okay, now let us discuss this scattering of beam of light. This scattering of beam of light by the colloidal particles is known as the Tyndall effect. This effect is discovered by the scientist named Tyndall. So that effect is known as the Tyndall effect. So what is Tyndall effect? The scattering of beam of light by the colloidal particles is known as the Tyndall effect. Where we can see this Tyndall effect by through the milk, when the dust particles in the air, and you can observe the Tyndall effect in the denser forest. Okay, when the sunlight passes through the canopy of a dense forest, you can observe this light passing through the forest trees. So these are the example for the colloidal solution. Now let us discuss the properties of this colloidal solution. Now I am going to discuss about the properties of colloids. What are the properties of colloids? Now let us discuss. The first property of colloids is a heterogeneous mixture. Colloids are the heterogeneous mixture, means they do not mix with the particles do not the particles do not distribute throughout the solution uniformly. They will not distribute uniformly throughout the solution. they will form two layers, or they are not you think that the particles are uniformly distributed. Actually the particles are not uniformly distributed. If you see through the beam of light, okay, when it is scattering, the particles you can see, and the size of the particles is not very small, so you cannot see, and you think that it is a homogeneous mixture. Actually the colloids are heterogeneous mixture. The second thing is the size of the particles is very small. The size of the particles is too small, so you cannot see through the naked eye. You cannot see the particles by the naked eye. Then what is the size of the particle? The size of the particles lies between 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. The size of the particle lies between 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. The next property is the particles are big enough to scatter the beam of light. Since the particle size lies between 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer, the particles are big enough to scatter the beam of light. Through the colloidal solution, we can observe the scattering of light. We can observe the scattering of beam of light by the particles. The next thing is, do not settle down when undisturbed. If you keep it for settling down, they will not form two layers. You can't separate the solution when the solution is stable, when the solution is undisturbed. They will not settle down. They will not form two layers. You can't separate the particles when it is settled down. Then the particles are quite stable. That is why the particles are quite stable. So you cannot you separate the particles. The particles are quite stable here in this colloidal state. Then cannot be separated by filtration. You cannot separate the particles by filtration. You cannot separate the particles of the mixture by filtration. For this, for separation of colloidal particles, you have to use one more special techniques. Okay, you have to use this centrifugation process. So centrifugation process is used to separate the particles. Centrifugation process is used for filtration. Filtration means to separate the particles. Okay, these are the properties. They are heterogeneous mixture. The particles are, you cannot see through the naked eye. The particles are very small enough, and the particle size lies between 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. Then the particle size is enough to scatter the beam of light. A colloidal solution will scatter the beam of light. When you pass the beam of light through the colloidal solution, they will scatter the beam of light. Then So that time when there is scattering of light, you can see the particles, movement of particles, random movement of particles you can see. If there is a rooftop, okay, if there is a rooftop and when the sunlight enters through the hole, you can see this scattering of light, you can see the random movement of dust particles. Then you cannot separate the colloidal particles by filtration. For this you have to use a special technique like centrifugation process. Centrifugation process is used to separate the particles. So this colloidal solution have the components dispersed phase and dispersed medium. Okay, we can see so many example in our day-to-day life for colloids, and all the colloids are not similar. They have two components. Colloids have two components. One is dispersed phase, another one is dispersed medium. Means particles are dissolved, particles are dispersed in one medium. It could be the particles, the dispersed phase, it could be solid, liquid or gas, or the dispersed medium, it could be solid, liquid or gas. All the colloids are not similar. Different colloids have the different components in them. Now let us discuss in detail about these colloids. Okay, if you take any colloids, you can see two things. How in solution you can see two components like solute and solvent. Like that in the colloids also we can see two components. They are dispersed phase and dispersed medium. So what is this dispersed phase? Dispersed phase is nothing but it is like the particles. It is like the solute particles in the colloid. These are the particles present in the colloids. So they are dispersed phase. Is a solute like dispersed particles. So dispersed medium. This dispersed phase is dissolved in, is distributed in which medium? These particles are distributed in which medium? That shows a dispersed medium. This dispersed phase, it can be liquid, solid or gas, like that. Dispersed medium also, it can be gas, liquid or solid. So and based on that we can there are various types. Okay, we can see various types in the colloids. Now let us see, let us take few examples and identify what is a dispersed phase and which is a dispersed medium in that. The first example is liquid. The first type of colloid is aerosol. What is this aerosol? Aerosol are nothing but fog, clouds, mistle. These are example for the aerosol type of colloids. Example is fog, clouds and mist. So what is this? Here in the gas medium, in the air medium, these liquid particles are there. In the mist, what are they? Tiny droplets of water is present in the mist, like that. So here the dispersed phase is liquid and the dispersed medium is gas. The type of colloid is aerosol. Example, fog, clouds and mist. The next example is aerosol. So this is liquid dispersed in gas. Here solid dispersed in gas. So this is also aerosol. Here solid is a dispersed phase. Here instead of liquid particles, solid particles are present. Solid is the dispersed phase and gas is the dispersed medium. Solid particles are dispersed in gas. Type of colloid is aerosol. Example is smoke, automobile exhaust. Means the smoke, the polluted particles which are exhausted from the automobiles. Carbon dioxide, then carbon dioxide in the air, then carbon monoxide. These are the automobile exhaust. Okay, they are example for the aerosol type of colloids. The next thing is foam. You are familiar with this word, foam. Okay, here dispersed phase is gas and the dispersed medium is liquid. Gas particles are dispersed in liquid. Example is shaving cream. Example is shaving cream. Okay, the gas particles are dispersed in liquid medium. The next thing is example is emulsion. So what are these emulsion? Milk is the emulsion. On the face cream, these are the emulsion. Here dispersed phase is liquid and the dispersed medium is liquid. Both are liquid. Liquid is dispersed in liquid. So in liquid milk, what is present? Water and milk particles are present. So liquid is dispersed in liquid. Emulsion, we call it as emulsion. The type of colloid is emulsion. Example is milk and face cream. The next thing, sol. Okay, what is this sol? Solid is dispersed in liquid. Solid particles are dispersed in liquid. That type of colloid we call it as sol. Example, milk of magnesia and mud. Milk of magnesia and mud are the example for sol. Got it? Milk of magnesia, okay, it's nothing but it's a magnesium hydroxide solution. Okay, that is example for sol. Okay, foam, another type of foam. Here the dispersed phase is gas and the dispersed medium is solid. Dispersed phase is gas and the dispersed medium is solid. So that type of colloid is known as a foam. Example, foam, rubber, sponge, pumice. Okay, rubber, sponge. How was the sponge? There are small there is tiny pores is there in the sponge. So in that it was occupied by the gas particles. So solid is gas is dispersed in solid. Solid is the dispersed medium. The next type of colloid is gel. So in the gel, dispersed phase is liquid and the dispersed medium is solid. Dispersed phase is liquid and the dispersed medium is solid. That type of colloid is known as the gel. Example, jelly, cheese, then butter. Solid, which is dispersed in solid. Solid dispersed in solid is known as the solid sol. Example, colored gemstone and milky glass. So here solid is dispersed in solid medium. That type of colloid is known as the solid sol. Example is colored gemstone and milky glass. You can see variety of glasses. It was a mixture of two particles. It is a mixture. Got it? Okay. Till now we have discussed about the different types of colloids and we have discussed about which is the dispersed medium, which is the dispersed phase in that. So these are the familiar examples which we use in our day-to-day life.
See, in this picture you can see the colloids such as foams, milk, fog and smoke, aerogel, then blood is a colloid, paint is a colloid and all.
Now let us discuss about how to separate the components of these colloids. How to separate the components of colloids? You know that colloid is a heterogeneous mixture, but also you cannot see the particles through the naked eye. The size of the particles is too small, so you cannot see. That is why you are not able to separate easily. You can't use the filtration method or any sieving method or any filtration method here. Okay, we have to use see if sand particles are mixed with the mud and all, you can separate using sieving process and all. Okay, but here the particle size is very small, so you cannot use any method such as sieving or filtration and all. So we have to use some other special techniques to separate the components of the colloids, such as evaporation or centrifugation and all. Now let us discuss how to separate the components of ink from the dye. Okay.
Good evening, friends. My name is Sabir Dokal, and during these COVID times, I decided to show an experiment on how to separate dye from ink that was taught to us by our science teacher during these science online classes. So all we need is a steel vessel, a steel plate, and some ink. So the main idea is to separate the water from this ink through the process of evaporation, and that will leave behind the dye. However, we won't heat this ink directly over the stove, as ink is a volatile substance and it might catch fire. So what we will do is, in order to heat the ink, we will boil the water, and the fumes will transfer the heat energy to the ink on this dish, and the ink will start to heat. The water from this ink will evaporate, leaving behind the dye. So now we'll take some ink and put it on the dish. And we'll put this dish on the vessel with the water. Now we'll turn on the stove. And now we'll wait for some time while it heats. Water is boiling over here, and we'll be done in a few minutes with the dye. Over here we have the fumes over the ink. So that's the water in this ink boiling away, and that will leave behind the dye. It's almost done now. We have the ink drying up over here. It's done now, so I'm going to turn off the stove. Alright, so over here we have the dried ink. Now this vessel is really hot, so you shouldn't handle it immediately, you might get hurt. So I'll let it cool for some time before handling the dye. Now I'm going to scrape off some of the ink. As you can see, it is a solid material. The ink. Over here we have the dye, and this dye is dissolved in water to give us this ink, and that's how we separate dye from ink, through the process of indirect evaporation. Thank you.
From this concept, you understood that milk is the colloid. If you visit the dairy, you will get the different types of milk. Okay, some are full toned milk, or some packets have the double toned milk. Okay, the content of the fat present in the milk vary from one packet to one packet. So they separated as the one full toned milk and double toned milk and all. And in some packet the content of the fat is less. In some packet of milk the content of fat is more. So so how they separated this content of fat, how they separated this protein, fat and all from that milk. Okay, especially here they use the centrifugation process to separate the content of the fat in the milk. So it is not so easy. You can't use a simple method such as sieving, filtration method to separate the content, because it is a heterogeneous mixture and the particles are suspended. Suddenly if you observe the milk, you will simply say it is a solution, but actually it is a colloid. So here they use the special method, that is centrifugation, to separate the components of the milk.
Now I will show you the video which explains you about how the centrifugation process is done to separate the particles of the muddy and the calcium hydroxide solution.
When a liquid containing suspended materials is allowed to stand for some time, the heavier particles will settle down through a process called sedimentation. This can be used to separate the material from the liquid. But what will we do if the suspended material is very light? It will take days to settle. In such cases, we can use the process of centrifugation to quicken the process of sedimentation. Centrifugation is the process of separating substances of different densities from a mixture with the help of a centrifuge. Let us conduct an experiment to see centrifugation. For this we need a handy centrifuge machine, muddy water, mixture of calcium carbonate and water, 4 centrifuge test tubes. Take the sample of muddy water and place the test tubes in the centrifuge machine. Now take the calcium hydroxide mixture in the test tubes and also place them in the centrifuge machine. Rotate the machines fast for few minutes. Stop rotating. Remove the test tubes and observe. We see mud particles and white precipitate have settled in each of the test tubes. This is the process of centrifugation. In a centrifuge, as we rotate, the substances experience centrifugal force away from the center, which forces the materials against the wall of the tube. The amount of centrifugal force experienced by any object depends on its mass and the speed of rotation. The components of a mixture get separated because the denser particles are forced to the bottom while the lighter ones stay at the top. So with an increase in the speed of rotation, even lighter materials can settle down. Centrifugation is used in diagnostic labs for blood and urine tests. It is used in dairies and homes to separate butter from cream.
Okay, what happens here? Okay, what happens in the centrifugation process? Here they spun rapidly. Okay, here they spun rapidly. They will take the colloid and they will spun rapidly so that the denser particles will remain at the bottom of the solution. Okay, they will take the test tube and okay, what they do in this process here, they will spun rapidly. They will take the colloid and they will spun rapidly so that the denser particles will remain at the bottom and the lighter particle will remain at the above part, okay, at the topmost level. Okay, when you allow the muddy to settle down, they will form two layers, like the upper light, okay, muddy water, and at the bottom the solid particles will remain like that. Okay, sedimentation and decantation you have observed. When you keep it allowed for some time as it is, they will undisturbed and they will settle down. They will form two layers, like that here also. When you spun rapidly, they will form two layers. Denser particles will force to form at the bottom surface, and the lighter particles will remain at the topmost level. It have too much applications. Okay, this centrifugation process have lots of application. Okay, what are the application? Blood is also blood, urine also, these are the example for the colloids. Okay, when you do the blood test and urine test sample, they will take the sample, and when they take the sample, they will test, they will identify the components in them. So it is very helpful in the medical field. It is very useful in the laboratory, in the medical field, this centrifugation process. And this in the dairies, they use this method, centrifugation process, to separate the butter from the cream. They use the centrifugation process to separate the butter from the cream. And also in our daily life, we use in the washing machine, this centrifugation process takes place. How in order to separate the water amount, in order to separate the water from the wet clothes, here they use the centrifugation process. We use the centrifugation process in the washing machine to separate the water from the wet clothes. So these are the applications of colloids. These are the applications of centrifugation process. Okay, in today's class we have discussed about the suspension. What is suspension? Suspension is it's a heterogeneous mixture, and you can separate the particles by filtration. The particle size is you can see the particles of the suspension through the naked eye. The particles are bigger enough to see, and you can separate the particles by filtration. And next concept is colloids. We can see various types of colloids in our day-to-day life, and it have the lots of applications. And we can observe different types based on the dispersed phase and dispersed medium. We can classify them into different types, and we can give so many examples for the colloids, and it have the lots of application. Next thing we have discussed about the how to separate the colloids from the how to separate the components of the colloids. How to separate? We cannot use the simple methods. We have to use the well developed techniques such as centrifugation and all. And what are the application of this centrifugation? It is used in the medical field. Widely it is used in the medical field, in the laboratory, and in the dairies and all. Thank you, student.